Okay, so I've been putting this off for a while. Usually it's either the camper's like too dirty, or I'm not ready, or it's not light outside, or whatever. And it's not light outside, I just happen to feel like it now. So windows aren't open, I've got shades up. But this is a camper tour. So I'm a full-time travel nurse living in a 18-foot Forrest River RPOD. It's a 179. Done a few mods to it, so it's not all original stuff, but going on almost a year of full-time. Started at the beginning of 2019. So, like I said, I've been thinking about doing this for a while, and just kept putting it off, and I finally feel like getting it done. So, I'm going to flip the camera around. This is being shot with a GoPro Hero 7 Black. Hopefully the audio is okay. Sometimes it's kind of weird with the GoPro. If you hear anything, it's probably the wind outside. It's a pretty windy night. This is in Fort Bragg, California. It's on the northern coast, about 2.5 hours from Santa Rosa. 3 hours probably from San Francisco and Sacramento. So, yeah, let me flip the camera around and we'll show you what we got. All right, so of course it's dark outside, but this is a newly installed shade. There was no shade on the door originally. I put this on. They're these nice, I forget what they call them, but installed that. I'm a night shift nurse, so I sleep during the day most days, and they black out pretty well, a whole lot better than the standard blinds that came with this thing. Originally, I should say, this is Hiker. He's my buddy. He's a German Shepherd mix I got as a rescue, and he's been with me the whole time, so he does a really good job. So he might jump down and run around, I don't know. He's usually pretty well behaved. So anyway, the usually pretty well behaved business. There's originally a screen in there. He doesn't tear anything up and he doesn't chew anything, but he will try to get out if the screen door is open. So he knocked out the screen. I could put more in, and I've already replaced the one down here. But this one, originally there was a shade. I changed out this window. It was frosted, and this is a clear window. So originally there was a shade, which worked fine, only he knocked it down. So now I just use that, but I still like being able to see out. I installed a dog guard on that, which has done pretty well. If I was going to replace the screen up there, I would put a dog guard on that one too. Highly recommend and sorry it's a bit dirty, like a shoe pan. What happens is, you come in the door, and unless you have somewhere to stand to take off your shoes, you get stuff everywhere. It also helps if they have stuff on them, then you can stand on it and put your shoes on. I just put a couple of like file folders, whatever you call them, bins here, so it kind of has a place to put extra shoes. If you only use this, then shoes get stacked up and you have nowhere to stand to put on your shoes, so that kind of takes care of that. Dog leash and bags and stuff like that. This, for anybody traveling with a dog, this is just like a car microfiber thing. But if you're anywhere that's going to be wet, traveling with a dog, it can be a special challenge to keep things clean. So I kind of hook his leash up over here when we get in, and then clean him off with that, which usually does pretty well. It's enough to get it's not like straight up mud, but wet stuff and a little bit of dirt, and clean it off. Food bowls for him, that does pretty well. They're collapsible, so I can take those with me, and if we go anywhere. Let's see. So we'll talk about that. For coffee, and this is tea, that sort of thing, I just use one of these electric kettles. I'll show you down here. So it just sits on one of these. And this is something I had from home, and when I, you know, packed up and left, I brought that. It's really fast. I have a stainless steel kettle too for if we're just no hookups on propane. But it's a whole lot faster than using a kettle on the gas. It's more reliable. The kettle externally will get hot, but the water won't be hot. But this kind of, if you touch it and it's too hot to touch, it's ready to go, and the water's ready to go. So I like that, and plus we don't use the propane if we're on hookups. It does pull about 1500 watts. So I usually turn, like if the AC is going, I usually turn the AC off and any other high appliance stuff. But yeah, it works really well. It takes maybe 2-3 minutes to warm up. This part never gets hot. It's just the kettle. So that does really well. I'll show you in a minute what to do with this so you don't have to turn everything off and keep turning things on and off. Kitchen drawers, pretty standard. Some baggies and utensils. I don't have a whole lot. It's usually just me, so I have like one set of utensils. Like extra water, cleaning supplies, paper plates, bags, that sort of thing. I don't travel with those. I just brought them in to clean them up, and they would sit in the back of the truck usually. Trash can there sits pretty well. Originally this had 2 ottomans here, which one were kind of in the way, and 2, this one, the axle's right like here. So this one, I guess was moving around like when we were traveling. So where it was screwed to the floor, it ended up like digging holes through the floor. So I've recovered the floor. This is a new floor. It's a new like trim piece around there. But I replaced that and just put a cap over it, and it's a nice little place to sit. Trash can and a heater. I think I have turned on the heaters under the bed there, the furnace. I think I've turned it on once to see if it worked, but when we're on hookups, I just use electric, and I just use this thing. I think on low it pulls about 1,000 watts, and on full probably about 1,500. So you got to be careful, you know, what all you turn on, but it does a fine job. When I was on assignment in Bismarck, we had probably about -9, -15 below, I think, and it kept it around 50s in here, which was certainly doable. I kind of feel like it's easier to deal with cold than hot because you can always put on more clothes, and I just slept with a sleeping bag type thing. So back over here, I put in a towel rod here. There wasn't really anything great to hang that on. These little camping towels work great, microfiber maybe, because you can bring them out. They dry super fast, and they're like super absorbent. We got our dog food. I've got these little motion sensor light things, which are kind of cool. Some extra reflectix. We do have an Instapot that I've been using. Some kind of Tupperware junk. It just kind of keeps the pots and pans together. His dog food. Originally, there was a shelf that went all the way, but it was super thin, and stuff, I think it was the Instapot, banging on it smashed through. So I took that out and then replaced it with this, which has worked a whole lot better. So that's that. Let's see, pantry over here. I did put a little whiteboard up on there. I had some of these magnets that I thought were cool from national parks and stuff, and there was nowhere. I'd been putting them on the microwave, but there was really nowhere to put them. So this, and you can write on it, so that's kind of cool. Nothing has fallen off, even bumping around on some back roads. So, but nice little cabinet there. Again, little lights I'll see if, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but that's what it looks like. These are just little, I think they call them J-latches. More stuff there. I think one of the lights has lost its battery, so yeah. Those containers, I think I just got them from Target, but they work out pretty well for keeping all that together. Coming over here, this is a Levelmate Pro. There's videos on YouTube about it. It essentially just tells you if you're level, and it syncs to your phone. So you can pull up the app while you're in the car backing up, and then you know, go forward or back depending on which is a more level spot based on this. And you can also get on your blocks and forward and back until you're level, which is kind of cool. It just saves you getting in and out and checking with the level and all that stuff. Temperature gauges, this was more because this is not a 4-season camper, and it's kind of watch the freezing temps. So this is inside now. There is one, the spare tire is on that wall. There's one kind of strapped to the spare tire, the holding rod for that. There's one strapped to the piping of the gray tank, I think, underneath the drain. It's just command stripped and then zip tied around it. And that is that one. And so that's more of a, like for in Colorado where so much of the heat is kind of light dependent. This one would be a whole lot higher because it was more in the sun, but this would be like the ambient temperature if you were in the shade. It's also the temperature under the rig. So usually you'll have that 3 to 4 points higher just from the heat of the rig, and that's without a skirt. So just kind of gives you an eye on whether stuff is getting close to freezing. This one is the compartment under there. There's a little access hatch on that side out the outside. And I swapped out, I think it was a deep cycle 12-volt battery, and swapped it to a Battleborn lithium. I think it's 100 milliamps. So lithiums like to be inside, so it's in the compartment, kind of mounted under there. So that monitors that compartment, which is usually, it's a little bit colder than in here, but it's usually warm just because the it's on the inside of the area. Let's see. Oh, so this is a monster, but it is awesome. Like, I don't regret getting that for a minute. It is a dehumidifier. Right now in Fort Bragg, you can see the humidity, 75. That's probably the lowest it's been here. It's been 95 plus most days since I got here. Colorado was fine. Hardly needed this at all in Colorado. When I was in Bismarck, North Dakota, it was also super humid. So regardless of the AC, it gets pretty uncomfortable if it gets real humid in here. AC, usually I have the fan run all the time. There's a low mode. When you turn it on, there's a low mode that it'll just come on when the compressor needs to come on, which is fine. But if you're trying to sleep, it gets real annoying to have the huge fan come on every time the compressor comes on. So if you put it in high, the fan stays on all the time, constant, and the compressor just kicks on behind it. What happens humidity-wise, though, is that the AC will take humidity out, but it's only taking it out when the compressor's on. So if it's just the fan, you won't get any humidity. So you get a whole lot of humidity buildup in between compressor cycles. But anyway, yeah, love this thing. I tried a small little bitty one. It did a little bit, but not much. This tank is probably like a gallon. I think it's set on, it might be more. But it'll fill up over about 24 hours. It'll take that much out of the air. So super happy with that. It is a huge deal. It's not super heavy. I've just got it strapped so that it doesn't fly around during transport. There's just little D-rings back here that this stuff. If you've never seen this, so you can get it just about anywhere, but it's like a Velcro roll strip. Super awesome. You can like bundle stuff with it. You can tie stuff down, that sort of thing. Oh, also replace the shade here. So that comes up. There's little rare earth magnets on the back, which is how it kind of clasps down. So you just roll it down. There we go. It is blackout, so that helps. The one that was there had the advantage that it had the, you know, it has like the strings that go along, so it kind of guides it as it came down. But the strings got all worn and messed up with, you know, up and down just with use. So it started to get like off kilter, and I couldn't find a great way to repair it. So I just replaced it with this. There's a little bit of gap, but not too bad. I had a pure water filter for this, which worked well. Drank the water with that in Bismarck. But in Colorado, despite having a filter on the outside where the water inlet is and the one here, it was still awful. That area, it was Glenwood Springs in Colorado, and they there's a lot of hot springs there, a lot of mineral stuff in the water, and I'm pretty sure it was well water from the campground. But yeah, it real strong salt taste to it. So after Colorado, like, I just ended up getting drinking water and then used this to, you know, wash dishes and shower and that sort of thing. But yeah, so that's what I usually do for water. If I am boondocking, I will have a 6.5 Reliance container that sits here. And I just fill up, and then I can wash dishes, or it'll be the drinking water for that. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, fridge. Pretty simple. It is pretty small. You have to kind of learn to use it and learn, you know, what your meal plans are going to be. I will say probably the hardest part is that is as big as the freezer is. And it needs to defrost, but it's kind of hard to figure out how to do that when you have a bunch of groceries in there. But once it frosts up, you can see that it takes up a good bit of the back there. So it's kind of hard to mess around with that. But yeah, you get used to it. You can play around with like how to configure the shelves and the little buckets and things to get what you need. But it's doable. Standard microwave. It is a convection microwave. I think I used the convection once to cook like a microwave pizza thing. It worked. Not super crazy. I don't do a whole lot of cooking. I'm usually either I'll have stuff I can quick microwave, or like salads, or like hummus and vegetables. It's usually pretty easy, and it doesn't, you don't have to cook anything. So chair I brought from home. Love that chair. It's super lightweight, like the most ergonomic thing I've ever sat in. Brought it from office work at home when I was an administrator. So it was my chair. I bought it for my office, but yeah, it was worth bringing. Originally there were ottomans here, right? There was a little fold-up table that was in the middle, and there was a couch here. And when I say couch, it's literally that space plus cushions. That's all it was. So kind of lived with that for, you know, a few months. It was kind of a lot having the chair plus the ottomans plus this table that folded out. You kind of had to fold the chair under the table thing and to get past. So the cushions on the couch started to kind of bottom out. They were real cheapo and thin anyway. And I kind of thought that, you know, why... It's just me. I don't really, you know, entertain people. So I was like, why would I do that when I could just, you know, put cushions on the bed, sit on the bed if I wanted to read or something, and use that as the couch. And I really wanted the desk. So I kind of did this built-in here. It's not super fancy. It's just a square built-in. There's not really any information on slide weight limits. But that being that being said, there hasn't been any problem with the slide so far. That being said, you know, the cushions are gone, which isn't a whole lot of weight, but then you had the fold-up table, which was on the slide, which was a good bit of weight. Anyway, so it's worked out. It's been working fine. So what this does, and I brought this computer screen from home. It's got a whole lot better resolution than a TV, so I use that both for the computer and for the TV. So what this does, though, is that this just slides out, and you've got you're ready to go. So great working spot if you're doing computer work, and then it's also an eating table with the chair there being the way to eat. You could, I suppose, you know, have somebody else here. They could sit on the bed and eat off the corner, and have the chair. You could probably put another chair or two in here if you wanted to eat. The other thing is this kind of pulls out to be a side table for the couch slash bed. So if you want to set a cup or something there or a book, there's a place to set it. And then that just slides under there. It's firm enough that it stays put like that. There's a little latch in the back for driving, transport. Found these containers, which have worked pretty well. It's kind of a challenge to find right fitting containers for an RV. A lot of times it's just weird spaces that it's just, you gotta hunt for the right thing, but those have worked pretty well. So yeah, have a little cushion here, so I'll, you know, sit there, put my feet up and watch TV or whatever. Not super complicated here, just have some books left over. I'm kind of whittling that down as I read them. I donate them or get rid of them. Do have a printer for the occasional need. I don't need it much, but that's like the smallest printer I could find to print, and it's wireless, so you don't have to have a lot of extra cords. Brought, I did not just buy this for the kick of it. Had a HomePod from home and brought it thinking to use that as the speaker. Unfortunately, it works if you're on a wireless network. You can't port your audio to it Bluetooth. So if you're using your phone as your hotspot and watching, you know, Amazon Prime or something off your phone, which is most of the time, you know, what I'm doing, you can't do a hotspot and be on a wireless network. There is a way around it, but it gets kind of cumbersome. So this is a wireless travel router. What you can do is you set up a network, you bridge your phone's hotspot to the network, and then you're ready to go. So it would work on that. You join the network and you could play audio. The problem is most data plans, I've got Verizon Unlimited. The problem is that the phone has like a 75 gigabyte limit to its data. Even then, I feel like when I've exceeded that, it hasn't really throttled all that much. The hotspot, even on unlimited though, for sharing to other devices is 20 gigabytes, which goes through super fast. So, and that definitely throttles after you hit that. So what I try to do is not use any high data stuff off the devices. So I won't watch video like YouTube or any of that off the computer. I won't do it off an iPad. I'll just use it for, like, you know, email, other, you know, web surfing, stuff like that, work. And then I'll watch all the video off the phone because that works a whole lot better. So once again, if you're in hotspot mode, you can't be on the network while you're there. So you can't play audio to a Wi-Fi thing because you won't be on the Wi-Fi. It's weird. I wish it worked out better, but it doesn't. So anyway, that's what this is for. It's a Bluetooth speaker. Has worked really well. I just keep it plugged in. I'll show you this setup in a minute, but it has, you can do an auxiliary cable or Bluetooth, so it just depends on what you're doing. So HP monitor, it is just HDMI and power. So yeah, I guess I can show you this right now. So excuse the, there's a little bit of dog hair under there. Vacuum, it's just a DeWalt shop vac I had from home. So that, hope you can see that, is a HDMI switch and audio splitter. Because being a computer screen, there's no audio, right? So you want to split the audio to the speaker and video to that. And it also has multiple, you know, video sources. So you can have the phone and the computer on different HDMI. And then you just have this little thing here, and you can swap. There's a little sensor right there for that, and you can just swap which inputs you use. If you leave that in auxiliary, then it'll just swap the audio from any of those, and you don't have to join from a different Bluetooth thing each time you want to port your audio out. So that works pretty well. Let's show you this here. So this is a Goal Zero Yeti 1400, I think. So it's just a power bank. You can hook solar to it. I do have a solar briefcase, but since we have hookups most of the time, I don't have to use that a lot. We use it if we're boondocking. But the nice thing is you can kind of hook up a lot of stuff to it. So you run a power strip right there. Off that, you can do your charging. So it runs all that. The little can light things are a Goal Zero thing that, so those will work off if we're like boondocking, those will work too. So yeah, so it powers all this, which also means that you have power to all this stuff if you're boondocking. You have to watch your usage course. You got your percentage right there. It only ever pulls about 65 watts when it's charging by shore power off the, I don't know if these are 110s or 120s. If you're on solar, that input will go up to about 200. It's probably 180, 190. But off shore power, it only charges to that. So what that means, I said I was going to come back to that little hot plate thing. What that means is that you can set the hot plate here, you plug it into there, it'll jump up to its 1500 watts, which will take about 10% off the power pack, which is a good bit. It's, I think it's 1400 milliamps, amp hours, I don't know, something like that. So it'll take about 10% off of that, which is fine. But because that only ever draws 63 watts to recharge, you don't overload any of your stuff. So like I don't have to turn off the AC before I plug in a 1500 thing. I don't have to, I could be running the heater offshore. Don't have to turn it off. You could run the microwave, don't have to turn it off because it's only going to run that down and then it's just going to slowly recharge, which is pretty handy. Same would go like if you're using a hair dryer or something, which I don't need, but you know, if you're a lady and need a hair dryer, there you go. I will say this, like of all the little things to have, this is super handy. It's a DeWalt gyroscopic, has a little flashlight on there. This is super handy. I have like regular tools out in the truck, with like a regular, you know, driver and everything, but that just to have something inside is super handy. I don't have to recharge it much either. It lasts a while. There. This is a Olympian Wave 6 catalytic heater. So it's off propane, so you can see the propane line there. I just ran a propane line in from the quick connect on the outside. It is a catalytic heater, so there's no off gassing, and it's a whole lot more efficient with your propane than running like a like a propane space heater. Interestingly, that is the propane detector right there, directly below it, and it's never gone off. It did once, and I just had to tighten when I originally installed it, just had to tighten the threads on that, and then it's never gone off. So it would go off if there was something crazy going on. So if we're boondocking, not able to use this, that's what we would use to warm it up. You just spark it, it kind of ignites, and then there's like a reaction that goes on with the plate thing in there. So I think there was something else I was gonna come back to here. It'll come to me. Oh, bathroom. So I installed this is a nice laundry option, just hangs on the back of the door. I put this backing on the door. It's kind of, it's got like an air pocket under there right now, so I need to take it off and redo it, but it's just the adhesive I used. I've got a better one than I need to put on. So there was originally a curtain, but being that this is a wet bath, things are already kind of crowded, so when you have a curtain right here, like your arms are getting in it when you're showering and all that, there's still you can see the track up there. So I installed a little lip, put this plastic on the door, a little bit of, sealant tape around here, and then lets you get rid of the curtain. There was also a little like corner sink thing there, so I got rid of that, and then I redid the water valve, put a new piece here, right? Redid the water valve to there was originally 2 separate faucets, so with this you just adjust it once instead of I gotta add hot water, I gotta do this, and that's a high efficiency shower head. I don't know, it works a whole lot better pressure than the thing that was in here. So super happy with that. The mat is kind of nice. You just get them off Amazon. It's like a bamboo thing, but it just lets you, so it'll stay kind of wet for a while underneath, but this dries out super fast. So like if you need to just use the toilet, you can stand on it within an hour or so of showering and it's dry. Place to hang towel. There's originally a whole slotted thing here, but I took that out when I took the curtain out. That's what these are still here for, is it kind of held the pocket thing in. But that's all I really needed in here was just soap, and then I hang it's handy to have a sweeper thing. Yeah. Oh, I was going to talk about the DeWalt shop vac. Perfect size, great deal. Use it to vacuum out the car and in here. It is battery and powered. So if you are on shore power, you can plug in. If you're out boondocking and need to vacuum, you can go too, which was super handy. I'll say if you're going to, all my tools, power stuff is DeWalt, and it's all 12-volt lithium ion. The lithiums don't have battery memory like the old NIMH ones do. I had some older stuff at home that was dying. And the nice thing is if all of your stuff shares one battery scheme, then 1, you don't have to have a lot of separate batteries, and 2, you don't have to have a whole lot of separate chargers, which is what this is for. So that's the vacuum, that's a little fan, that's the cordless drill, that's I have a circular saw that this will fit in as well. And I have 2 more like 2 amp hour ones, I think. But yeah, works super well. Super happy with this little fan, especially if you're boondocking and just want something to kind of cool things off. You just turn it on and it's ready to go. It'll go up pretty high. So especially like sleeping, I'll set it in the chair and let it blow over here just to kind of have some air movement while I'm sleeping. But yeah, super happy with that. It'll tuck down under here while we're moving, and then the screen I just put on the bed. Yeah, so over here, I did put up a rod here and a curtain. I don't use this as much anymore. Once I changed out the blinds to these, I still can't remember the name of what you call those, cellular shades. The blackout's pretty good. Before it was the standard pull down blinds with reflectix behind it, and it didn't always work out super well. So I would add this. The only thing I don't really care for is that you don't get a lot of airflow behind it, which is nice if it's cold because it gives you like this layer of insulation back there. But if you're hot and you're trying to get AC, it can get a little dicey. The vent for the AC does kind of point up over there, and it will go over. It's just it's not as great. Yeah. Oh, people ask about this business, and you can see it's lined up here. It's a cellular signal booster. I've really only used it once when I was in Valley of the Gods in Utah. There was, I think, 2 bars of 1x, which basically means nothing. And it boosted up to like 1 to 2 of 3G. There's a pole mounted to the outside that you raise up, and then it links up with this thing in here. You do have to power it up, so I'd run like an extension cord from the power pack over there and run that. It worked. It did its job, I guess. It's something. I mean, it'll boost whatever you can get. Oh, one note on that is that while it will boost your ability to obtain a signal, it doesn't necessarily give you more bandwidth. So if you're talking about data, it doesn't... If your bandwidth is restricted either by the number of towers or by the traffic on the towers, it's not going to give you any more than the tower can give you, regardless of the amount of signal. So, anyway, so put up rod, curtain. A lot of people did this mod where they put a shelf up. It's a Roth Allen shelf from Lowe's, I think, and it's like the one everybody uses for that. I used tension rods, tension shower rods to mount it, and then they just sit in little half rod holders there, and it's worked fine. This is a little Yeti lantern light, so for boondocking and I just want to sit here and read, that works out well for that. Just a little bamboo, like a kitchen thing, command stripped to the wall, hasn't fallen down, works well for remotes, that sort of thing. I did install a LED strip to the back of the shelf. Super happy with that. So I don't use this as much anymore, and I can plug this into the power pack, and it runs like 14 watts, so it's pretty efficient. But nice backlighting for that. If we're super cold, this is a 0-degree sleeping bag. So like in Bismarck, that's what I was sleeping with. Worked great, super comfortable all the time. For warmer weather, I got this. It's a Thermarest, so the same folks that make like the sleeping pads, Argo blanket. I found that for a while I was just putting like a sheet on the bed. He sheds a lot, so it would get covered in hair. I'd roll it back to sleep, but I noticed like the hair didn't really ever stick to the sleeping bag, even though he'd like sleep on top of it with me. So I got this, which is kind of like sleeping pad material. And for the most part, all I have to do is just shake it out outside and the hair just falls off. You can launder it pretty regular. I think you got to put it on delicate or low heat or something, but yeah, super happy with that. It's enough to give you a little warmth, but not super warm if you're in a warm condition. Got these things which just hold nothing heavy. It's like blankets and stuff, towels, extra sheets. You don't want like a lot of heavy stuff on there. That being said, stuff will bounce off of there. So there's another tension rod that goes here to there. It just sits on the back, and I'll put that up for when we're in transit. TV over here, don't use a lot. Terrible quality. Came with RV. I don't know. I rarely have even tried to use it. I just sit here and watch stuff. Closet. Originally, it was a hanging closet, and you could stuff stuff, but I found it better just to do this kind of strip mounting, and then put some shelves in, and it's done a whole lot better. It's pretty deep, so it's done a whole lot better for storage with that. And I didn't have a whole lot I needed to hang anyway, so I'm not, RVing and I'm not super dressy. Just some stuff to hanging stuff there. Yep, there is a in-house radio thing. It's got Bluetooth. You can hook stuff up to it. I have rarely used it. The AC is super, super loud. I wish it was ducted. So unless stuff is like really loud, it's hard to hear anything. The Bluetooth speaker does really well. This, when I have tried it, wasn't super great. And I don't believe, on top of quality stuff, I don't believe this was super loud either. So just kind of like toiletry stuff in there. Socks, underwear, shirts. This tote container here was a good size for, like, I call it basement storage. It's like bike gear, backpacking gear, all that sort of thing. Backpacks, bulky stuff. But it fits in there pretty well. So, there's not a whole lot going on outside. As far as mods to that, I put vent covers, bug covers on the vents. Mounted the there's the pole is right on that side for the signal booster. Changed the tires out to endurance tires, Goodyear endurance tires. They're originally Castle Rock or some off-brand. Did the propane diversion thing and moved the battery. There's no battery outside now, so the battery's inside. There is a voltage monitor on the battery. It's a Victron BMS 720, something like that. Like it a lot. You can mount it internally. Like I could route it down here and mount. It's a little circular thing. But it's Bluetooth, so it just syncs to the phone. So it would be fully charged if I looked it up now. But and you can see how it just shows up on there. But I can just look it up on the phone and tell what the battery status is. So a little demo here, Big Bang Theory. If I wanted to do that, just hit it. There we go.
Battery full.
He was not born with bone claws.
Howard, you know me to be a very smart man. Don't you think if I were wrong, I'd know it?
Okay,
Anyway, so that's how that works. I could run another HDMI cord, but I just would usually transfer this over to the computer port to use the computer on there. So that's about it. Pretty simple. Here, let's turn back around. Living in it for coming up on a year. So yeah, you just kind of live with things, and then as they, as you find little things to improve, I always try to, give it a little time, and see if you really want to make that a change, or whether it's something you can live with, or would it really make life better to change something. And if it does, then do it. Oh, I will say, there's this. These doors come down. These things were flying out. There's not enough tension to keep stuff in there, so that's definitely helped. So they latch for transit. So yeah, that's about it. This is going on 45 minutes, so I'm going to end it here. Yeah, let me know what you think. Hopefully this is cool to see, you know, how somebody lives and, you know, what you can do to kind of make things better along the way. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.